we made it. I was in the middle of the bankruptcy from the divorce. I mean, all of this, man. I'm like, if I told you, like, for real, if I got deep into my testimony, which we don't have, an hour to do that, man. I've been through some things that would kill most people, man.
Wow.
Just no way out, no way up, no way around.
Right.
But God, and he just he said, you will always have enough. And I'll be honest, I got more money in the bank today than I had when I was making over $100,000. You know what I mean?
Let's go. Welcome to the Spotlight.
What it do, kinfolk? It's your man's Rock Carter, man. I'm excited to be here with y'all again today. Y'all know what it is. Another episode of the Spotlight with Rod Carter. I am in the studio of a real boss here, right here in the Midwest. I'm going to introduce him. He goes by the name of Joe Straws. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Straws. What's going on, Joe?
What's going on, Doc? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you letting me put you on the spotlight, brother.
Oh, man. I appreciate the opportunity, man. We've been friends for a long time, and man, I'm humbled by the. You want to come hear about little old me over here?
Man, whatever, man. You out here doing it, man. Take us back to the beginning, man. I see, man, you've been doing amazing stuff within Wyandotte County, from here to Missouri to all over the place, man. But I never saw all of this happen. By the way, you got a beautiful studio.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I mean, the beginning is. The beginning is relative for me. I mean, the beginning goes back a long time. I've been doing music for a long time.
Okay.
But I always worked a job. I had a family, so working a regular job, doing music on the weekends. And
first, you from here?
I'm from KCK. Okay, yeah. Born and raised KCK, living here 44 years. I'm 44 years old, man. I've never lived anywhere else in my life.
Wow.
Love my city, both sides of the water, but I'm a dot, you know what I'm saying? I'm KCK.
Facts.
But I love the region. This is a great region, great opportunity. It's blessed me. So I've been born and raised here, family's from here.
Right.
Dad's from Missouri. He's a jazz bass player, traveled all around the world. My mom was an opera and gospel singer.
Okay.
They met at UMKC.
Wow.
So I got it on both sides.
Right.
So,
Right.
So yeah, super dope family. Grew up in church, as most of us did, playing drums, started playing drums. I didn't actually start playing drums until I got to high school. I started on a drill team, Strangers Rest drill team, marching down the streets,
Right.
And then went from the snare drum to, playing in a jazz band at Sumner Academy, graduate, 95.
Okay, right.
So, been doing music for a long time, got out of school, graduated, thought I was going to go to college. That didn't kind of work out.
Okay.
Ended up having my first kid, and then got married and was married for a long time. Ended up having 4 more kids, so 5 total.
Wow. Right.
So, I didn't get to, explore my musical journey.
Right.
So, because I was like, man, once you have a kid, man, that's my responsibility. That was my big thing.
It's a wrap, bro.
It's a wrap. It's going to work, man. Clock in.
Yep.
So I spent almost 20 years in the transportation and training industry.
Really?
Yeah. So I was a terminal manager for a truck company here locally. I had about 400 employees and was making really nice money. Still doing music on the side. Still raising my kids. Still coaching basketball and football.
Okay.
Doing all of those things. So trying to balance that family life, work life, and your passion.
So when you eventually did start your music journey,
right?
From my understanding, it was drums, and then you started making a name for yourself as a DJ?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, it's funny, I started at FedEx Ground. I think I worked 2 days at FedEx Ground. I was like, man, there's got to be another way.
Right.
And I answered an ad in the paper, looking for a drummer.
Okay.
I was like, looking for a drummer. So I had never done that before.
Right.
So I went and played drums, auditioned for this, like a wedding band.
Okay.
And man, I was playing wedding band stuff with a group called the KC All Stars for years, man. I was singing lead and playing drums and running sound, all this stuff at the same time, right? But on the breaks, I was DJing, like in the breaks. So I would keep the party going in the middle, right? So what ended up happening was, man, I just got so comfortable DJing. I was like, man, shoot, I could just DJ, and make, just make some money DJing. So that's when I switched over and created a lane in the corporate and private as far as DJ was concerned. So I was just doing weddings and I was doing corporate events, and didn't get into the club thing. I was just literally, I was over here in my little corporate and private lane. So I kind of built the clientele up. So we were DJing, man, and so really the business was initially just a DJ company. That all I did, it was just me at the time. All I did was go out and DJ. I was collecting gear and just DJing. So, long story short, audio engineering is my passion. So I started, gathering gear. So then we launched our AV company, built out of that kind of DJ brand. So then we started doing full audio, buying big mixers and big speakers. And we kind of transitioned. So now we have two sides of the business. So we have the DJ side still. And then we now have the AV side.
Okay, so now when you say you're I guess you're referring to your team, right? So do you actually still do some DJing yourself, or is that just part of your team that they've kind of taken that?
Well, it's funny. I don't do as much DJing as I used to, but there's still a lot of DJing that I do. I get a lot of calls. Actually, you're getting a lot of calls now for DJing. Financially, I have to make decisions on kind of right now which way to go. So, like 4th of July, I was down in Topeka DJing. I do the Comic-Con after party for Power and Light. Cool. I do Riverfest DJing. I do 4th Friday in Olathe DJing. So there's still a lot of DJing that I do. But right now, my wife, she has taken way off, man. She's one of the most requested DJs from a private, like her phone. I used to book her gigs. I can't even keep up now. She puts her gigs on my calendar just so I know she's booked. So she's rolling, and then I have some other friends of mine that we have kind of a collective. So if we can't do the gig, we can shop it out to them and say, hey, we got a gig. Do y'all want it? And there's, there's only so many people you can put out on your brand, right? Because when you put people out, they represent you. Especially. But there's always certain clients that I'm going to DJ. I think no matter what, there's I've had a client for over 10 years. Wow. And I do everything for them. And the only person they'll almost take is my wife. Like if I'm not there, but then she's done some stuff for him too, because I've been out of town or doing some out of town work, because we do some out of town work too. But no, I still do DJ. I enjoy DJing. I enjoy MCing more than I like DJing. Believe it or not. Really? Yeah. I mean. I like moving people. Gotcha. That's the church in me, right? That's the preacher in me. Yeah, that's the preacher in me. So just moving them in a different way. So I love that. I love that aspect of it, because, I love reading a room and being able to give everybody in the room something. Whether it's somebody's grandma, or somebody's niece or nephew that's 5, and everywhere in between, I can hit that, and I love being able to kind of make a night flow and make an experience. That's kind of what we sell as an experience, no matter whether we're DJing or whether we're doing the AV. Right. When you get us, it's an experience. It's not just, here's a guy up here pressing buttons. Right. Play. Right. And just let the music play. Now we gotta, we get it out of you. We're gonna get you on the floor. We're gonna do what we do. So yeah, I love DJing though. Right. To answer that question.
That is absolutely beautiful, the way you've been working your passions and just kind of spreading it out. Speaking of spreading it out, one of the most impressive things I have seen about your company is this mobile rig. First time I saw it, it was on Facebook.
Right.
And you know, on Facebook, man, it's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you kind of look, you keep scrolling. You know what I'm saying? Then you see another post, you're like, okay, guy on stage, okay, keep scrolling. But I had the pleasure of playing for a good friend of mine,
right,
Pastor Ron Thompson.
Right.
And we met out there, and he had got your services.
Right.
And yes. I saw it for myself. And that is when I was blown away. Tell me how that came about, the whole birth of the thing, man, because it's truly a monster of a task, man. Tell me about the rig.
Well, the rig, so this is rig 3.0.
Okay.
So the rig, I have to take you back like to where this thing started, where this vision started. There was a little dance team that called me one year. They said, hey, we know you did. This was in my height of my DJing. Like I'm DJing, everybody knows DJ Joe.
Right.
So had a dance team call me and said, hey, can you DJ the St. Patrick's Day parade for us?
Okay.
So I was like, man, sure. And, I'm over the top, like always over the top.
Right.
So
it's about the experience.
It's all about the experience, right?
Right.
So this is how this started. And I went, and I didn't have any trailers or nothing. I didn't even have a truck.
Okay.
I was like, so I went in my brains. I was like, man, I don't want to look like these guys with like a speaker out the back of their truck and this, that, and the third.
Right.
So I literally went and borrowed a friend's lawn trailer. He had a lawn care business. It was like an open trailer.
Okay.
So he was cutting grass, and he said, you can get it, but you can't get it until like, I'm done the night before.
Gotcha.
So I was like, all right. So I went and picked this lawn trailer up, man, and I brought it over here, and I literally just built a whole, like, trussing, lights, everything, put a generator on there. And,
the night before
this St. Patrick's Day parade, man. This is like I'm strapping stuff down.
Oh my God!
And I'm on a little 12-foot trailer. I'll never forget it. And I had one of them arch truss, and we went down to St. Patrick's Day, man, and we fired up and was going crazy.
Wow.
So that was like the initial. And it went over like gangbusters. Like people were dancing, like before the parade, during the parade. I had a guy jump on the thing and ride all the way down. I had no clue as who this dude was. I thought he was with the group. He wasn't. He was just he was like the hype man. Some random dude jumped on there and we was like, I was like, what is going on? But I kept on rolling.
Right.
So that was kind of like the initial and then it went over so well. I said, man, that is like something we need to do.
Right.
So that was kind of what I call Rig 1.0, even though I technically didn't own the trailer, but that was kind of what sparked the vision. And then so we built Rig 2.0, which was it was a 16-foot trailer that actually raised up. It's got I bought these camper lifts and it raised up and the wings came out.
And it's now is this pneumatic pumps or was it crank or
no?
Or how?
So yeah, that's funny. So it started out as a crank.
Okay.
Right, and then I kept tearing up. I kept buying like these super expensive cranks, and it just wouldn't work. So what I ended up doing was repurposing some camper lifts.
Okay.
So you see those guys that have those campers on the back of their trucks.
Right.
I actually took those 4 posts, repurposed them, kind of built them to where they would actually raise the top up. Because I knew if they could raise those huge campers up off the back of the trucks, then it could raise the roof that I had built on the top of this thing. So
my God.
So so we repurposed those lifts on Rig 2.0, and then we put some winches to bring the wings up. So everything always starts out manually, right? So, but the older I get, the more I can't like sit there.
Right.
I try to build these things where I can do it all by myself. Right. I don't know if I'm gonna have help.
Have a team or not. Right.
So so everything starts out with a manual. Then I figure out how to engineer it to where it's automated. So initially it was a crank.
Right.
Then it went to the automated. Then it went to the automated wings. So then we did Riverfest with that thing 2 years in a row. Wow. That had a drum kit on it. It was more DJ, so it was small.
Right.
So it really kind of had ran its course. So then when COVID hit, and we kind of went to the AV side of things real big. We got some really good contracts with like the Nelson Art Gallery and stuff. Right. So, but when COVID hit, man, we literally we lost, the numbers are crazy. Like in 2 weeks, like with contracts canceling, it was literally like, hey, we're closed.
Wow.
So
one phone call after another.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks of, hey, COVID shut down,
right.
no money,
right.
You know,
right.
And it was like, oh man.
Right.
So
and by this, and you're not working anyplace else. This is your
it.
full time.
Yeah, this is all I do.
Right.
This is it. This is all I do, man.
Right.
I mean, I you know, this is it.
Right.
So what we ended up having to do, man, I ain't gonna lie, I went through like a mini meltdown. I went through like
hey man, look, you can't be by yourself.
Yeah, I had just opened up a studio in Hy-Vee arena, and we were expanding. We thought we were about to
blowing off, right? Blowing the roof off the city,
yeah.
Right.
And then the COVID hit, and like I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. So, what I went through like a little mini depression, and God had gave me this vision for this truck years ago.
Wow.
Like years and years ago, and I was like, it was one of those things that was in my mind, but not in the forefront of my mind.
Got you.
You know what I mean? It was one of those things like that would be kind of cool to do.
Right.
But I got all this other business. But then it was like, for me, God was like, I'm going to force you to do this. During this pandemic, I gave you this long time ago for this moment. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you didn't even step on it.
Right.
When
It's like,
you should have.
Well, I mean, and the cool part about it, we stepped on a lot of stuff before a lot of people, because when COVID hit, we had already been in the streaming industry. We had already bought a bunch of streaming gear.
Right.
We got, switchers and Sling Studios and all. We had all of that stuff before COVID hit.
Right.
So we were still ahead of the game, but on that particular rig project, we just hadn't done anything. So about a month of depression, and my wife looked at me. She said, "Listen, man, what you doing?" He said, "You DJ Joe, the mad scientist, man. Let's get it." So that's kind of when it started. I went and started finding pieces and traveled to Leavenworth to get this piece, and traveled down into the West Bottoms to get this piece, and I started kind of just putting this thing together, just like one piece after the other. And took this over to my metal guy. My metal guy says, "You don't want to do what?" I was like, "I want to put this on here and do this," and I draw it all up. Like you can see like some of these drawings, man. I know like some of this stuff, like I'll sit and like just start sketching stuff out on paper. Right. Where I mean, just like that's when that's for the recent edition of the fold down stage. So I started putting this thing together, and I was like, man, I want to keep improving it. And then I was like, well, how can I build something that nobody has, like in full production? Open it up, party on wheels, go.
So wait a minute. That nobody has. So there's more out there like this.
So
I've your rig is the first time I've ever seen anything
in this region. It's the only one like it. Now there's another company. Now I would be remiss if I say I don't do my research on the internet. There's another company in I think they run off the East Coast, and they do a lot of stuff down south. They have something extremely similar. Okay. So I watch kind of what they've done, and I kind of take ideas and bits and pieces from what they've done. Because nothing's original, right?
No. Nobody in Kansas. Everybody pulls from something else.
You got to pull from it. You got to be inspired. Like my shows are inspired by like the Blue Man Group when I do my drum and DJ shows and stuff like that. So I always pull from different things. So there is a company that has something very similar, and they travel around the country with it. And they do festivals and stuff like that. But they've got like mad pockets, right? Like they're like sponsored by QSC, and you know what I'm saying? Like they got Jeep, they got a boat, they got an SUV, they got an ATV.
So they way out there.
They're way out there. I'm just like in my backyard building this thing.
Look, man. Look, I'm certain they started the same way.
True that.
Maybe.
Hopefully. Well,
maybe some people.
Sometimes they start with, but you know what? I that's my thing is, I want to build a business that, I can get it to a level where if one of my sons wanted to take this over, they would already start like what some of the other folks start. You know what I'm saying? Creating a legacy like that where, I've already built this thing from the ground. Now you take it to the next level. You
know what? Not to cut you off, man. I something that really inspires me about what you said. So you had this vision, right?
Right.
You had this vision, and if I'm not mistaken, like you didn't go to woodworking or welding or any. You didn't have any of that necessary skill set. But what you did is you found someone who did.
Right.
That to me, I love that idea because I'm one of those people that has to do everything myself. And the first time I realized that didn't really work was after Steve Jobs passed. I started reading his story, and I realized that he didn't do a whole lot of stuff. He just knew how to He just knew how to get the people that knew how to do it, built it, and built a $1 billion, empire or whatnot. So how do you? Because I know you. It's all about the experience for you, and I know that you're a hands-on person. How did you say within yourself, I cannot take this task. I need to find someone else that does this?
I don't know, because I'll be honest, it's still tough to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super hands-on,
right?
Like extreme. But when it comes to safety, so like being in trucking, being in transportation for as long as I was, and being in the level of management that I was, I understand OSHA, I understand safety, I understand what needs to happen to where if I'm going to put people up on a platform, you know what I mean? So I over-engineer it, in my mind to say, listen, I'm not going to create, a liability.
Hazard situation.
Right. Now that doesn't mean, it's funny you talk about hands-on, the other part of it is getting people to work at your time schedule, right? So when I needed to get stuff done, I couldn't because I had to outsource stuff, right? So I have actually signed up to take welding in the fall. So I'm getting my welding A and B certifications this fall.
Wow.
Because I want to know how to do it. Not that I'm going to do it, but I want to know how to do it.
Right.
And if I need to fix something, if I need to get it. So I've got a complete woodworking shop in the basement, here. So, because my wife, that's what she does now. During COVID, she's learned how to. We've remodeled our house. She's building beds and chairs, and she's learned how. Yeah,
bro.
so we,
awesome.
And working with our hands is, and being involved is extremely important. But when you talk about building a team, also from a management perspective, being in management as long as I was, I know that you can't do everything, right? So if I try to do it all, then I'm going to burn out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going to burn out before my time. So if I can get people around me, if I can get a good welder, if I can get a good woodworker, if I can get a good audio mixer, a good video guy, and then you don't want to be, you want to develop, because like the larger sound companies in the city, even in the city, let's just say in the city, I don't want to just be at one show. I want to be at multiple places at the same time. And we've been able to do that in COVID. We've been able to hire in COVID, where when we picked up a lot of the churches that needed assistance with outdoor and virtual and stuff like that, we were able to put people in these places. So the outsource, I wouldn't even say, the outsource part is just as important as the planning, where, outsourcing the fold down stage that, we 25 feet by 88 inches. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a 25-foot aluminum welded drop down frame.
Man.
Right? So, I'm not going to build that in my backyard and it be safe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it be safe for people to stand on and play on.
Right.
And I don't have to worry about, it falling apart.
Right.
So that outsourcing is tough, but it's necessary.
But it's important.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people are afraid to take that leap. You knew that this is something that you wanted to do. How did you mentally balance the, I'm afraid to jump out here and, I got a whole family I got to take care of. What am I going to do? What made you say, you know what, I got to do this?
It's interesting because the job that I was on, I went through a terrible divorce, right? Okay. And it was rough. Right. And it ended up being a single dad of 5. Wow. Which is even more rough, right? Yeah. So, and I was making really good money on the job that I was at, but I was stressed out. I had a lot of responsibility. I had stepped back in some positions trying to kind of hold on to that.
Right.
That what my wife calls the journey of the broke, you know.
Okay.
And
That's a funny term.
It's the job. She calls it the journey of the broke, which I thought was really cute.
Oh, J-O-B.
J-O-B, right? Yeah, journey of the broke, right? So I stole that from her.
Okay.
She probably stole it from somebody else, but hey, I love it.
Right.
But you know, it was one night I'll never forget it. Like I went to had my kids here, and man, we were sitting, and I was having a tough time with life. Period.
Right.
And it's me and them. And I told them, I said, y'all, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And it was because I was working overnights.
Right.
And I would have to leave them, and they would be here. And man, I said, man, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to do this. And I looked at them all. That very night when I got to work, something happened, and I was back here that very night. And I said, well, that's it, y'all. And that was it.
Right.
You know, so, and I didn't immediately start this company. You know, I prayed, and then I went back to school.
Okay.
So,
now, did you already have a degree at this moment?
No degrees.
Okay.
I just got my first degree just this past May.
Okay. Well, what is it in?
Audio engineering.
Really?
Yeah. So I went to KCKCC because I was already doing a lot of audio engineering, but you know, I mentor a lot of kids. I work with a lot of kids. I press my kids, and I always preach, you know, higher education, get you a trade, you know. And I had never gotten a degree, and I said, man, I'm gonna go. When I signed my daughter up for college, I signed up for college the same day.
Wow.
You know, and she obviously got through it a little quicker than I did. You know, my brain moves a little slow. True. And I went to school full time though. I went to school full time and earned my degree in audio engineering. And the leap was, you know, because I was making over $100,000 a year
at the
trucking company, and it was like, man, how do I survive? But God always has a way, you know what I'm saying? Right. We never went hungry. Our lights, you know, never got turned off. And we basically made it. I was in the middle of a bankruptcy from the divorce. I mean, all of this, man. I'm like, if I told you, like, for real, if I got deep into my testimony, which we don't have, you know, an hour to do that, man. I've been through some things that would kill most people, man. You know, just, you know, no way out, no way up, no way around, you know, but God, you know, and he just he said, you will always have enough, you know, and then this was before I was even remarried. It was just me and the kids. So we started, you know, the business, and we was hustling and hustling. Then I got married, and everything just went crazy because my wife still works a regular job, but she does this on the side. So then I was able to, you know, get benefits. Let's just keep it 100, right? You know,
absolutely.
Like I ain't have no benefits, you know, and like that, man, can't get your teeth fixed, can't get you know, can't go get your blood pressure checked. So, you know, so it was easier, you know, knowing that I would able to, you know, I could get benefits for my kids, and so there's some give and take to that. It's always great to have a good partner too, that will support you in your vision, that will say, hey, I support what you're doing, or hey, what do you need? Do you need to go buy something? Do you need to do this? Do you need to do that? And never really question when you're making crazy moves. I've called my wife for some crazy moves. When I built this rig, man, I've gone through 3 trucks in 1 year. Like I started with the Chevy Silverado 1500, then I bought a cash 2500 thinking it was gonna pull it. Neither one of them would pull it. So then I called my wife, I need you to come to the car dealership.
Just the sheer weight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just the sheer weight of, you know, 11,000 pound trailer. Ooh. So, you know, then I bought this F250 that I'm driving now, and I'm rolling now. I can get anywhere I need to go. But you know, hey, you call her, hey, I need you to come to the dealership. You know, because when you're self-employed, everything's tougher. You know what I'm saying? So you may have plenty of money in the bank, but you know,
whatever
credit situation,
like between your personal credit, your business credit, all that.
So, but she supports everything that goes on. So you know, making those jumps. Shout out to the wifey, man. So making those jumps from, you know, making that leap. You know, I didn't really have a choice to make the leap, but the leap was made for me. You know what I mean? It was kind of one of those things where I say I was elevated to the industry, and I didn't have a choice. It was like God was like, listen, I've been telling you to do this.
Right.
I'm going to force you to do
Right.
this.
You've just been kind of slow.
Yeah, you've been kind of slow.
Let me help you out a little bit. Push.
You know. And I'll be honest, I got more money in the bank today than I had when I was making over $100,000. You know what I mean? Man. So and it's different, and it's different when you making your own money. You spend it different. You look at it different.
Right.
You operate a little bit different. You're more intentional.
Right.
With how you spend.
Right.
But I've been blessed. I've been able to give my kids some things that I would never have had.
Right.
You know,
right.
and be the family guy. So that's kind of my leap story. You know, and we're still leaping, man, because every move we make, like building that rig in the pandemic, you know, it was almost like, because my neighbors, they drive by, it's almost like that Noah's Ark thing. Like my neighbors drive by, they wave, they honk, they hey, what's going on? Because they were here when I built the rig 2.0. And they watched that whole process. And now they're watching me. Now this thing is 2 times the size of that. And they're going, it's almost like Noah's Ark in the backyard. And they're like, dude, what is he doing now? And they'll stop and we'll talk and to invest that amount of time and money into something in the midst of when your business is failing. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like,
you're getting ready for the rain, brother.
Getting ready, and then now it's like, man, every day I'm just taking phone calls. Hey, can you? And somebody's like, well, when are you gonna build another one? You need 2 of those. And, you know. Right. I'm like, I don't know.
So, as far as the company, the name of the company.
Yes. To the MAAXE.
To the MAAXE.
Yes.
Okay, now that's everything. That's the audio engineering. That's the video work. That's the rig. That's everything.
That's the parent. That's the parent. That's the parent.
The
that's what the LLC is. To the MAAXE LLC.
Gotcha.
Yes. So that's, and it's the MAAXE.
MAAXE.
MAAXE. Yeah.
Okay,
so I know there's a guy on the internet. To the MAAXE. That's
yeah. Big Job.
Yeah. So I didn't steal it from him.
Right.
I came up with this name some years ago, and I named my company after all of my kids.
Okay.
So, you know, I have 5 kids. It's not in the right order, but Matthew, Angelica, Anise, Xavier, Emmanuel.
That's beautiful, man.
So, you know, I treat my company like I treat my family. I take really good care of it, and I take pride in all of my kids. Right. So, To the MAAXE is like, you know, I try to do everything to the max, too. Right. You know, to the max.
That's
so,
right.
To the max, you know.
Right. That's what's up, man. So, what do you see? We talked about your past.
Right.
We talked about where you at right now, how you pushed through a pandemic and you actually survived and thrived and actually grew during the pandemic. What do you see for To the MAAXE? Is it Productions or LLC? Where do you see To the MAAXE in the future? Where does your brain take you?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm a planner. I do try to plan the future. This pandemic has really kind of made me operate in the moment more than I wanted to.
Right.
You know, I see us being mastering the level that we're on. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but people have asked me, am I going to buy one of those huge, big Apex stages, those big hydraulic national acts come in? Right. I said, I don't want that problem.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want those problems. The bigger you get sometimes, the more I won't say problems, but there's a different weight. There's a different responsibility at those levels. Right. Do I ultimately maybe want to get there down the road? Probably so. But I'm content for the next 5 years to operate in the small, medium, in the space I'm in. You know, the 1,000, 2,000 people events, or the, you know, master the market that you're in before you expand to a bigger market, because the checks may be bigger, but you know, Apex stage is $150,000, and then to put an audio rig on that thing is another $70,000, and then to have people, then to put get a LED walls and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the finances add up quick, and I do everything cash. I pay for it cash. Really? I have no finance.
No. Wow.
Yeah. So there's no bank backing me. There's no small business loans. There's no, like, if you see it, I buy it.
You own it.
Yeah. You know. So, so I operate in that, you know, space, and I know I won't be able to operate in that space too much longer.
Forever, right.
And I know that's really kind of the next level of business. It's not really to go bigger from how big of trailers we can build or how big of events we can do. It's really, how can we solidify the business side of it to where we can start accessing capital that some of these other businesses are accessing and use it in our lane.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Smart.
With government contracts and stuff like that. So with us being a minority-owned business and a woman, because my wife owns 51% of the company.
Okay. Right.
So we're working on our MBE and our WMBE so that we can qualify for some other things out there that we don't currently qualify for.
Got you.
So that's kind of the future is the business side of it right now, not so much the production.
Not so much the production side.
Yeah, but I'm always gonna be going up on the production.
Always. Man. That's never gonna stop.
Yeah,
you couldn't get away from it. I don't see you ever just hiring a bunch of teams or having a gang of employees and you sitting in the office all day.
Nah,
I don't
never
see
happened.
I don't see.
You have to wheel me in. I'm a wheelchair. Yeah, put that thing up. It's never happened, Doc. It's literally. There's people that I work with now that they look at me. They say, "Man, I've never seen." I've worked with a lot of people, but I've never seen anybody work as hard as you.
Yeah.
Where I could hire, a bunch of guys and I need to do that because my body starts getting tired after a while, but I'm still going to be right there. It got to be right, and the reason we've been so successful is, we have
to make it right.
And we don't have a failed show yet.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a good record, bro.
Yeah, we don't have a failed show yet. I don't even knock on wood, praise God.
Right.
So, and that's because we start planning our shows 3 or 4 days ahead of the show. We start setting everything 3 or 4 days ahead of the show. So when we get to the show, we got every cord. I go through every cord, every cable, every mic,
every light
before I even leave the house.
Wow.
So yeah,
smoke machines, the whole night, everything.
Yeah, we go through everything. I'm sitting here counting, going through stage plots,
and
then I put some extra in there just in case.
So that's what's up, man. Okay, so last question before we wrap up. I've been doing this is probably my 8th episode, I want to say.
Dope.
And so I've come across several different business owners, black business owners. In the Midwest, and my dad was a business owner for
master
30. Oh man,
yeah, man. Pops is like he's an inspiration.
Yeah.
Sidebar, Pops is an inspiration, man. For real,
man. To God be the glory. He's an inspiration to me, man. I didn't like the printing aspect, but the fact that he built something from nothing.
He owned.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he owned that. So 30 plus years. Shout out to Pops, man. But growing up as a young person and actually taking inventory of the whole business world, particularly here in the Midwest, it's different, especially in our space, music, entertainment, things like that, and just there's something about this particular city. Well, we have all the talent in the world. I mean, we got we got singers, we got actors, we got dancers, we got corporate. We have everything here. We got everything that LA has. We got everything that Atlanta has. We got everything that New York has.
Yeah.
But it's something about this crawdad mentality where I feel like it's specifically here that you have to step on somebody or pull somebody else down in order to get somewhere. My 2 questions are, 1, how do you avoid doing that? How do you avoid being that person that takes a crap on this guy or this girl and focus on your lane? And 2nd, how do you deal with it when you know people are doing it to you? And would you rather just throw it away, and go to another city? Go to one of the big ones?
Kansas City, the region, right? So just to speak on the region, like you said, it's a beautiful city. A lot of talent.
Right.
There's people right out of both sides of the water that right now are doing major things. You got the Bailey brothers out in Vegas playing for like Marcus Miller and Layla Hathaway. And,
wow.
And Ariana Grande, and you've got RJ out there playing for Drake, and
Right.
you've got all these cats that have come out of Kansas City,
Right.
and you got Jason and them playing for Genuine, and
right.
Randy.
Right.
You got all these guys that have moved away to do what they were doing here in Kansas City.
Right.
And what I say about Kansas City is a lot of it is an exposure of mentality. So when I travel, like when I go to Atlanta, I spend a lot of time in Atlanta. I spend a lot of time in Texas, and a lot of time since my wife's from California now. In California, going back and forth into to the LA area. It's the mentality, right? So I think that we have not expanded and we have not connected to one another in this city to where we haven't seen how good we can be together because we're so busy trying to be great separate. You know, like I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. You know, so what we've been able to do, you know, when I first came into the DJ scene, there was no point in me trying to run down and be a club DJ, right? Number one, it didn't fit into my business model. And it didn't fit into my family lifestyle either.
Gotcha.
Because being a single dad of 5, I can't be out till 2
3
o'clock
in the morning. Right.
Yeah, so it didn't fit for me. So what I did was I created my own, you know, my lane.
Your lane.
This is my lane.
Right.
I'm going to go this way.
Right.
You know, I'm done by midnight. I can get home.
Right.
I can, you know, still, you know, take care of my family.
Right.
But I'm not going to say that when I got into this lane that I didn't have haters. Like, people were like, what is that dude doing? And where'd he come from?
Right.
And, you know, I came from trucking, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So I was a drummer and a singer in a wedding band. So
Right.
when I burst on the scene talking about DJ Joe and da-da-da-da-da, I'm like, who is this cat?
Nigga
man?
don't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
Right.
who's
Right.
this cat? We
Right.
don't know who this dude is.
Right.
But it was one of them things where, you know, it wasn't that I was going after other people's lanes. I think sometimes we have to make sure that, you know, we go where God wants us to go. We go in the lane that He shows us. And then even if it's the same lane, like I'm in a lane with a whole bunch of other people, right? But there's work out there for all of us. And one thing we got to really always remember is that there's work for everybody.
Right.
And I think that
It's enough for everybody.
it's enough for everybody to eat. And one thing that me and my wife have done, especially in the DJ space, is try to create safe zones. So like my wife right now has like a female DJ chat of like 13 females from across the city. And like we'll have them, we have these things called like Mixed Mondays, right? And we'll have a house full of DJs.
Shut up.
Yeah, and they come in here, man, and it's like a no judgment zone. We have like tutorial sessions,
Right.
and you can play what you want to play.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to play what you play at the club.
Right.
If you want to play some soca, if you want to play
Right.
some whatever, you
Right.
can play house, and
Right.
it's more of a creating a camaraderie versus a
what's up,
competition, and I think we've been able to help bridge some gaps. Her more than me because the ladies they've taken to it a lot better. I'm not a socialite because I'm always working.
Right.
I think I could do the same thing if I really put my mind to
right.
it with the guys.
Right.
But we've had sessions now when I was at High V where we've had like 20 DJs in our space, man, and we just all just sitting in there.
Right.
Chopping it up,
Right.
talking about gigs, talking
Sharing it
about
out,
venues,
right.
and I think that's what's missing is that closeness of let's just have a conversation, because I think social media and all these thumb heroes
Right.
where it's easier for me to send a text message bad about somebody, or
Right.
put a post out, man, that DJ sucks, or
Right.
or
Right.
this sound company is this, or
Right.
getting all in the same room and just chopping it up, finding out about people's families and kids and
Right.
dogs and lifestyles, and,
Right.
I've never worried about necessarily per se what people have said about me unless it was something negative about my business. Me personally, I could really care less.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if
Right.
somebody said, "Oh man, they this and they this," and it starts to affect my business, then I have to kind of raise up and go, "Hey man, this
right.
man,
Salacious type stuff.
Right. So, but I think that from a Kansas City perspective, man, I think that the one thing, even in our entertainment districts, the one thing I think we need to make sure we do is diversify. Make sure we have a very diverse culture where we're allowing people to be themselves,
Right.
where we're allowing artists to be themselves, where we're allowing a black person to sing folk music if that's what they want.
If that's what, right,
If
that's
their
what they feel.
passion.
That's their vibe, right?
You know, don't make them sing Jill Scott. Let them sing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
whatever a folk artist. I don't have one on the
What
top of
speaks
my
to
head.
them. Right,
Yeah,
right,
what speaks to them, and I think
Right.
once we and here's the other thing I've learned about Kansas City is the lanes are wider than we really know.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to connect with some amazing African Americans that have connections all the way up through City Hall.
Wow.
People like Kemet Coleman. I don't know if you know who Kemet is, but Kemet is a guy who has been able to navigate culture, the corporate, government, white, black, jazz, rap, even starting his own beer company in the 18th and Vine area, the only black one in this whole region.
Wow.
Right? So he's been able to do that. And then what you do is you don't compete with the people. You learn from them. You know, I'm always constantly learning, and I'm always constantly looking and watching, and then you have to be respectful. And this is the one thing I'll say, and I'll end it. You have to. I have this thing. You leave the dance with who you came with, right?
Right.
I do a lot of work on other people's names too. So every time I go out, it's not under a To The MAAXE event. I still go out underneath people's names, right? So I'll still go out underneath Sister Act Face Painting, which is a super good friend of mine, MJ, out in Overland Park. But when I go out on her name, I'm representing her.
Representing her, guys.
I'm not handing out DJ Joe cards. I'm not handing out To The MAAXE cards, right?
That's humble, man.
Yeah, you have to know how to navigate spaces, because you have to know what their connections are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if I go and I burn a bridge because I go do one gig for her, but then when I get there, I'm rocking and killing and doing my show like everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, how do I call you? How can I book you? If it's not my gig, I don't give out my card. I give out her card.
That's respect.
Because that's how she gets her money.
That's respect.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what, man? It takes a mentality, not even a mentality, man. It takes a heart position to be able to do that, man, because that's business. That's money. You know what I'm saying? That temptation to be greedy. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you hit me up, you know.
Yeah, or greedy or undercut, right? So I mean, like, we got the undercut thing going. Oh, he'll do it for $3. I'll do it for $250. And then before you know it, all the musicians are making $100 for playing 4 hours in the club, which, people can't live off of that.
You know what's funny? Rob said the same thing, man.
Yeah.
I interviewed Rob, and he was like, man, dude, if we all are talented, we all are talented, and we all are worth our scale. He said, if we stop, taking pennies, then we'll get to the LAs, we'll get to the,
Yep, it's exactly right, man. I mean, and you just really have to understand, because going back to that, leaving the dance with who you came with, there's certain doors I still can't walk in, bro. Let's just keep it 100.
Right.
There's certain avenues, and there's certain people that will and won't meet with me.
Right.
And I have to have an advocate that can get in those doors. I have to have an advocate that can approach some of these corporations that already maybe has relationships with these corporations.
Right, because if they don't hear you, they'll hear them.
They don't hear them.
the advocate.
Right. So, I mean, so sometimes you have to think greater than what you see and what your circumstance is. And I think from a city perspective, I think once we do certain things, once we come together, we get a mentality of we're going to be greater, but we're going to be greater together and not by ourselves.
Not individually, right?
Yeah, and we create zones of, like what they're doing on 18th and Vine, those First Friday things are amazing. They got DJs on corners, they got bands, they got vendors, what they're doing over here in KCK with the Buy Black, with the vendors, and stuff like that. But they got to make sure, even the organizers of those, that they don't get stuck into the same people.
Right.
They expand. You know,
right.
You got 5 or 6 months that you're doing these events.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you got 5 or 6 months of different people, you know, bringing your entertainment.
Right.
You know, where you're exposing the community to people who, you know, are out here doing great work.
Right.
And that's no slight to any of the people that are consistently doing these events.
Right.
And then we got to do better financially. We have to do better financially as a people. Where you look at, you go to Atlanta. When I go to Atlanta and I go to certain areas, and people that look like me are driving Bugattis, and they're driving, you know, Benzes, and they're driving Rolls Royces, and
Maseratis.
like, am I living in the wrong city? You know, what are they doing there?
Right.
But a lot of those people have learned how to build wealth systems, and they've learned how to pool their money, and they've learned how to invest in one another.
Together.
You know, like I've got people that'll come to me and say, "Hey, man, I got a big show, you know, and I need such and such and such." And I say, "Man, here, I got it. Take it. You know, do what you got to do. You know, make it happen. You know, some of them people get a bill, some of them people don't, depending on, you know, where we are and how close we are, this, that, and the third. But it's one of those situations where I'm always gonna help the next man. If you need to look like you got production out the wazoo, and it's a big gig for you, and you call me like, I need uplights, and like these DJs we're talking about, they don't carry big production most of the time. They got a couple speakers, and just, you know, in their lane. They'll call me, "Hey, man, you got uplights. I need bigger than this." Hey, man, we got you. You know, let's make you look great. My car don't need to be on that. My name don't need to be on that. Let's make you look great, because
that's smart.
You know, I mean, just because you're sowing in like my give back. Like I was telling you on the phone the other day, my giveaway has got me where I'm at too. The stuff I give away almost just as much business as I charge for.
That's what's up.
You know, where I'll go into a school and I do school assemblies for testing and take big setups in, and if they do good, they show up, you know, and I go back for free just to do a assembly to pump the kids up. The kids, "Oh my God, DJ Joe's here," you know. But those are the things that, you know, God says, man, listen, if you're faithful, and that charity that you're giving back is just as valuable. And I'll continue to bless the other side of your business as long as you continue to sow into your community and bless bless this side. So that's kind of when we become more humble and more together, Kansas City will be the hub. You know, Kansas City, you know, people will no longer have to move to Vegas or LA. People will start to move here because we're in the center. I can get to New York just as fast as I can get to LA. But if I'm in LA, it's going to take me twice as long to get to New York and twice as much cost. But if I'm based out of Kansas City, I can get everywhere. I can get to Chicago, I can get to Dallas, I can get to Atlanta, I can get to LA, I can get to Vegas, I can get to New York.
You're already halfway.
I'm halfway everywhere. I'm halfway everywhere. So why not have a mecca of music and DJs and talent and business and AV and all of that right here in the Midwest. So we'll get there. I have faith in us. Now, I don't know if I'll see it, but, you know, because ultimately I think we'll probably be in that great state of Texas at some point in time in life. I think. But we'll see. Maybe not. I got grandkids now, so I ain't moving away from them on purpose.
And I saw that. Is that your oldest boy got married?
He got engaged. Yeah. So I've got. So my oldest daughter is engaged, 2 kids, and then my oldest boy is engaged.
Wow.
You know, and then my next boy, he's working like crazy, full-time job, and then my daughter just graduated from high school, which I just graduated from college, and then my youngest son just graduated from the 5th grade. So we're rolling. We are rolling.
That is beautiful. Bro.
And my wife has 2 kids. They're 29 and 24. So you know, we old, Doc.
Yeah.
It's time for us to turn it on.
I hear you. Joe, I really appreciate it, man. Taking the opportunity to let me put the spotlight on you, man. Again, I am amazed at what you've been doing. I'm very proud, man, to be, not just to know you, but to be able to call you a friend.
Absolutely.
All the things that you are doing in the city, for the community, for your kids and for your friends and so many other strangers, man. Churches and clubs all over the place, man. Talk to the camera. Tell them where they can find you on the internet, all the social medias, all of that.
All right, social medias, Facebook, you can look up at DJ Joe KC or Joeseph Straws III or Kansas City DJ. To the MAAXE audio video, we have a concert channel called KC Unplugged. I know that's a bunch of channels, but we have all of those on Instagram and Twitter, which we don't do much on Twitter, but on Instagram, we're at DJ Joe KC. Our website is www.dj-joekc.com. We're working on the To The MAAXE website right now. We've just been so busy. So you can find us in all of those places. But if you really want to, you can also follow my personal page, Joeseph Straws III. Again, I link a lot of stuff to that as well as my business pages. So that's where you can find us. That's where we'll be.
Best way to get in contact with you, would it be email or DMs? Because some people don't check their DMs.
Both. I take email, jstraws3 at Yahoo and at gmail.com. So the number 3, JSTRAWS3 at gmail.com or yahoo.com. You can DM me on IG or on Facebook under my personal page, my Kansas City DJ page, my To The MAAXE page, my Unplugged page. We actually manage 17 Facebook pages because we do the stuff for the churches too.
Right.
So, but I don't answer the churches stuff, but I will answer. So you can text me 913-938-3566. You can call me at that same number. Prefer an initial text. That way, we know who kind of what we're dealing with. Because we're always working too. So if I don't answer your call, shoot me a text. I'll try to respond within 4 to 5 hours of you texting me.
Cool. Okay, so you heard his socials. Please get at him. Anything that you need in way of sound, production, all of that. He's got all the toys. He's got all the business. Please patronize this man's business.
I need IG followers, please. Get my IG game up.
Get his IG game up. We old out here, so people look. My daughter got 2,000 followers, and I got like 181. I'm like, how you do that?
I might have to start TikToking or something. Or doing. I don't Snapchat.
Y'all don't want him to do that. Y'all. You see this? Y'all don't want him to do
this.
That's
the Cabbage Patch right there. They don't know nothing about that on TikTok.
Please get this man his business before he starts TikToking like that. Y'all don't want to see that. No, y'all don't want to see. Hey, we gonna close this down real quick before he gets a little too hyped. Please like and subscribe to this channel as I continue to bring more black and brown business from the Midwest to you. Appreciate you so much.
I'm motivated, I'm coming up. I'm motivated, I'm coming up. I'm motivated, I'm coming up. Get motivated to come on up. I'm motivated, I'm coming up. I'm motivated, I'm coming up. I'm motivated, I'm coming up. Get motivated and come on up.